pass this over to them and enjoy the run.
Thank you so much for that introduction, High Spirits. Welcome back, everyone, and welcome to those who are just joining us. We are running Final Fantasy IV Any Percent No Credit Warp, so this is a full category, unlike our last run. For those just joining us, I am Natara.
Hello, I am Barkley Shut Up and Jam Guidance Superstar Rivers McCallan.
And also, I believe, the world record holder for one of our other Final Fantasy IV categories.
The former record holder of this category.
As
before
well.
Roth came back and beat my butt.
So very extremely knowledgeable about this category. So we have four very good racers here for you. We'll get more into that once the run is started, as we have a lengthy intro. So I am going to get our runners started here. So I will count us in. Ready? Okay, let us start there. So 3, 2, 1, go. So they should be off. Yeah, and I see them all starting there now.
It's
So
too bad that everything important happens in the first 7 minutes of the run, so we can't talk at all.
Oh, darn, how awful. Contrary to our sarcasm, there is actually quite a lot of nothing going on in the first 7 minutes, so we will explain what is relevant, but otherwise, we will try and give you some background. So these are all four very experienced runners of this game and category. Sonny Wrath 11, Penguinator, Couch 23, and Von. So please enjoy all of their runs. They are very good runners. So the game starts off with a 7-minute intro, if we've mentioned. A lot of it is cutscenes. There's a small portion in the middle where we get to actually move and interact and do some things. But for the most part, this game and category don't really get started until about 7.5 minutes into the game.
Right, and for reference for these runners, Penguinator has the best PB with a 1:58.37. Couch is second at 1:58.50. And then Sonny is a 2:01.34, and Bonnie is 2:00.39. So four very evenly bunched runners between about the 6th and 13th spots on our leaderboard for this category.
Yeah, all very quite close. So these battles you're seeing here at the beginning they're really automatic, they're automated, there's very little you can do with them, but you will see some of our runners pausing during them. And while this doesn't affect anything with the battle itself, we are manipulating the in-game timer because that does not move while you are paused in battle. And for some of the magic which will be happening at the very end of this run, the in-game timer is crucial. So they are going to be manipulating it all throughout, looking for very specific segments of time.
Yeah, it's very important for the very end of this glitch that you are able to find a very specific window of in-game timer frames, and so all of our runners have some experience with this. They'll be trying to work things out on their own as they go. It's kind of hit or miss sometimes depending on how these fights actually go, but everybody has like an ideal window they're aiming for.
Yeah, and they're all really quite consistent, so they know within their own abilities and within the game where is best for them to do their own timing. So, as is noted in chat, Penguin did not do any pausing in that fight because for his own in-game timer manipulation, he knows he doesn't have to. So, they know from the sort of battles they'll be getting, because there is step routing in this game, some seed manipulation. So they will be, I believe, all looking for very specific seeds at certain points of the game, and depending on how fast they mash and other such things. So they are all quite consistent with that, though. Plot-wise, our main character here, Cecil, is a Dark Knight for the Baron Army. the Kingdom of Baron has just sent him, and he is returned from stealing a crystal from the town of Mysidia. And he has suddenly grown conscious about it and questioned the king about why they were stealing crystal from innocents. And the king, not liking being talked back to whatsoever, told them, please stop. You're now on delivery duty. We're out of here. So take your buddy, the Dragoon Kane, as well, and go. So first off, now that they have control, you saw some of them go immediately into their menu and change their battle and message speed both to 1, making everything as fast as possible. And there was some window color changing. For Sonny, that is part of the manipulation for later game, but you don't actually need to do that until later. So again, that depends on the runner's individual routing. Plus, they all picked up a tent.
Right, they're going to use the tent for one of the major glitches of this game, all of which pretty much occur in the first 10 minutes of the run up until the end. But yeah, everybody will be setting up for a couple of glitches here, one of which will give everybody infinite money, and the other one which will send everybody to the other side of Mist so that they can loot it early, which involves some pretty big speedrun time savings.
Yeah, and you're seeing everyone take an extra step off of the table inside of Cecil's room. And the reasoning behind this is they have all, prior to the start of the run, did a step route manipulation to make sure they were on encounter seed 92. Now, what's so special about this seed is as long as they take that one extra step within the castle where the steps still increment, it means they will not get any encounters from the time they leave this castle until they do the mist clip, which is in 10 to 14 minutes into the run. So if they did not take that extra step there, then the first step outside of the castle would be an encounter. So definitely very important. They do have a few leeway steps in this particular seed, but anyone who is doing step routing manipulation in Final Fantasy IV always will start the game with seed 92.
14 minutes, Dan's game.
Yeah, okay. If you're bad like Natara, it's 14 minutes. If you're good like these guys, closer to 10. I meant more so by the time you get through the mist clip. So yeah, if you guys like glitches, stick around. This run, not only does it have a lot of them in the first 10 minutes, it is filled with glitches and exciting things.
So while we have this last little bit of cutscene, Natara, do you want to speculate on who you think's going to win?
I don't like speculating on who's going to win. They're all fabulous runners. Yeah, they're all really great. Penguinator is currently the top, though, and he's a really consistent performer. So if I did have to bet, it's probably going to be on Penguin, but I could see any one of these runners just pulling through.
This is his first real marathon for this, isn't it?
Exactly. I believe it is, yes. So even different people run better in different situations. Some are better in marathons, some better out. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens. And yes, all 4 of these runners are racing against each other. So you'll get to see how in sync they are, who's ahead, and we'll definitely keep you up to date as to where everybody is in and what is happening. Yeah, and one of our memes, of which we have many because we need things to do, is this intro likes to ask every time, why do the monsters keep increasing? So we want to hear from you in chat as to what your speculation for that might be. Why do the monsters keep increasing? Here we go.
It's probably because Couch plays every game known to man.
Yeah, well, hey, someone's got to play those games. We can always count on Couch to play those for us. Getting some nice answers there. Not all appropriate, so I'm going to choose to read none of them out, but definitely like some of those.
Wow.
So
this chat really went there.
It really did. So upon leaving the Baron Castle is the last time you can change your battle and message speed without losing time. You can change it at any time, but that's the last real point to do that. Now, some of our racers, not only are they getting a chocobo, but some of them are also going to be picking up a carrot, which is hidden in the grass in that chocobo forest. It will be used for pure magic about almost halfway through the run if things go well. Penguin getting an encounter. So he was not on step or on seed 92.
Correct.
He did take the extra step at the beginning, so either he thought he had it set up and he did not, or he was playing a bit of YOLO and taking the extra step just in case he happened to be on C92.
He also may have mistaken that he was on step 92. He might have thought that he was, and he actually wasn't. Happens
Yeah.
sometimes if you don't push down right away.
Yeah, exactly. There's some tricky things about the step route. So, speaking of tricky things and what this is not, the first boss fight of this game is the Mist Dragon, or Demist. And what all of the runners are trying to do is time up their commands so they can get 7 hits on the Mist Dragon before it turns into its mist form.
Except for Penguinator, who appears to be run buffering
like a champ.
The whole way, basically.
Interesting. And this game was the first in the series to introduce the active time battle system, or ATB. So where time is moving even when you're doing other things. So if you don't act quick enough, the game does it for you. So by getting those 7 hits in before the dragon turns to mist, they can time up their jump on the Mist Dragon just purely by sound cue. And what they also did after sending Kane up on that jump is they all initiated the first half of the item duplication glitch, which is going to give us lots and lots of money, and also a glitch you're going to see multiple times through the run. So taking an empty space and dragging it up into the equip menu, and then dragging that empty space right back down.
So the reason you saw Penguin try to do almost run buffers is, in theory, if you can get a couple of crits early, you actually can defeat Mist Dragon before it turns. His rolls were terrible, so that didn't happen. But
no.
Yeah, there was a chance.
Yeah. So the reason
we saw them,
it's really fun to show off. So the reason they picked up the tent at the beginning is for this glitch here, referred to as the mist clip. So what they're doing is they purposely interrupted their movement on the map. So it looked like they turned in place and they interrupted it with the menu and used a tent. And what this does is the game thinks they should have moved a position, but they didn't. So once they're done using the tent, they're actually not on the spot on the map the game thinks they are. So it allows them to take a step onto Mist without triggering the town. And by doing that and interrupting the movement again with the menu and saving and resetting, it allows them to just walk completely over this town. And the plot trigger, which makes this town inaccessible, is only on the left side. So by entering through the right, they're able to finish their item duplication glitch, sell their invisible items for 6.5 million gil, or if they duplicated the Iron Shield from Kane, which I think most of them did, about 3.2 million gil, buy a stack of dancing daggers, which are very overpowered at this point of the game, and pick up 2 important, being the Change Rod and the Tiara.
Excuse me, commentator. Gil?
Excuse me.
Gil does not exist here. This is
GP. I'm sorry. I talked about the wrong money economy. Excuse me. I so apologize.
The citizens of Mist are very offended that you would talk about their lost GP this way.
They'll have to just deal with it. And yes, the Super Famicom version of this game is really and truly, even though it looks the same, a completely different game. This version of the game, which is Final Fantasy II US, got very nerfed. A lot of the functionality got taken out because video games are too hard for us in North America, or so it was believed when these games first started coming out over here. So definitely some fun things you can do, but yes, very different game from Super Famicom. So once they did finish picking up their items and getting all of their GP, they did step over to the left side of the screen and triggered the cutscene.
All right, I'm excited to see if I can try to track 4 different step routes at one time.
Don't do it, man.
Should be fun.
Don't do it. Do what I do. Just assume they're all step routing and go with it. So, in this battle, they are going to be doing some inventory management. So, as while any sort of cutscenes like that are going, animations, different spells, things that are going to happen no matter what you do, it's a perfect time to move your inventory around to make things easier, both easier to find and use, and also there is some very strict item placement which is going to be required for the end of this run. So, the more of that they can get arranged early on, the easier things should be.
Right. You'll see most of these runners have a system at this point for kind of the order they want to put things in. I know that Vonnie was working really hard on that for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. So now that they have reset their consoles in order to do the missed clip, they are all on a different step route, step encounter manipulation. So what they're doing now, I think most of them did try to hard reset in order to specifically end up on seed 43. And that is the best seed no matter what category of this particular game you are playing. So Rivers is currently trying to track based on what step they get encounters on, what encounter seed they have hit. And some are going to be better than others. And all of the different encounter seeds will require these runners, or almost all of them, to take extra steps in certain spots in order to dodge and manipulate encounters. So the better the seed, the more of these they can kind of manipulate.
So yeah, it looks like Sonny has a 43 to 46 seed, and I think Couch has a 37 to 39 seed. Those are the two I was able to catch.
Excellent. So
the idea for most of these runs is that you want to aim for seed 43.
Yeah.
Most of the seeds around 43 are the best seeds in the game. However, for any percent no credit warp, there's also a kind of clustering of seeds around the 120s, 130 area that are also really good. So I believe somebody was aiming for that this time.
For sure. And that fight we just saw with the officer and the soldiers, it really is just a press A to win fight. There is no chance of losing this fight. However, it is the first instance of seeing some battle tech, unless you were looking at Penguinator, which is called run buffering. And what that does is when you try and run in an unrunnable battle, it brings up a message every time you try and run, telling you can't run. And for the duration that that message is up on your screen, it means the ATB gauge is paused for everyone in the battle, but especially for the enemies. So any commands that you kind of put in while that menu or that message is up means that you are pushing commands kind of ahead of the battle queue and allows you to go faster and kind of sneak in before the enemies. And that is exactly what we want. And there's multiple times in this run where we are going to definitely take advantage of that. All of the runners going to talk to Cecil's girlfriend Rosa, who is currently sick with desert fever. I would like to note, please never forget to talk to Rosa. You will know quickly if you have forgotten, because it is a story trigger which is required.
Sonny, the first victim of the surprise attack in this game. This is one of the things that you really have no control over that can make a big difference in the run. The surprise attack takes a lot of time, unfortunately.
It does. And as each of them were leaving that town, Kaipo, you will notice, or you may have noticed, like Penguinator left on the right side. He made sure to turn right and then leave Kaipo. This determines what side of the town they appeared on. So that is very important for step routing, and we will see it again on a return to Kaipo. But for now, they are walking through this waterway and picking up everyone's favorite sage, Tella.
Hooray, Tella.
There was a little bit of sarcasm there.
Sonny has 44, yeah, as he just said in the chat.
Oh, okay.
It was really close. So basically, what every runner was trying to do when they reset was hit a certain frame out of whatever it was, 256 or whatever. Yeah, so Saudi was one frame off. He came really close to getting the best seed in the game, but unfortunately, that one frame should have saw the frame better.
Yep. Gotta see the frames, man. See the frames. So you're gonna see all of these guys walking basically the exact same path because step routing is really quite particular in this game, as I'm sure it is with step routing. Other than where they take their extra steps. And the save room that Penguinator just got to is one of the first spots where you have the potential to see them taking extra steps after this cutscene.
Right, and every step route has its own particular set of steps based on what seed you start with. So we don't know offhand what every runner will be doing, but we know that as long as they don't die somewhere and they are able to stay reasonably on route, that they will be taking steps in some places.
Exactly. And for you telehaters in chat, keep an eye on this run. For the second half, you're going to see a whole brand new side of Tele you only wished you knew about.
You're going to see a new Tela?
Yeah, if only. The first part of the run, not so good. All of the spells in this game have their own individual miss chance. Some of them can't miss, but some of them can. Plus, it factors into the actual stats of the characters. So, by doing that, some characters are more likely to miss with their spells than others, and unfortunately, Tela is one such character. So, while we can have runs where he doesn't miss a single spell, I saw a piece of magic the other day during one of these runners' practice where Tela missed his spells, I think 3 or 4 different spells in one battle. So that is definitely not what you want to see in any way, shape, or form.
Right, you're going to see all these runners hang out here where Penguin is and go pick up this Darkness Sword. The Darkness Sword is one weapon that we go out of our way to get in the speedrun because it boosts Cecil's damage so much for the next 4 or 5 battles, and especially in this upcoming boss battle, that it's actually worth the time investment to go pick it up.
Yeah, the next boss battle is that boss is weak to the element of that sword, so making it a kind of extra double bonus for having it. So while we do skip most things, the Darkness Sword is not one such item, or a way has not yet been found to make it worth it to skip it. Especially since by the time they reach Fabul, that sword is already not doing very good, so damage rolls would be doing even worse without it.
So Tela's, yeah, as the chat's asking for it, Tela's kind of a source of divisiveness on this run, because for so much of the run, he is the only character that can actually do anything, and because of that, there's a lot of pressure put on Tela. His rolls need to be perfect and on point, and if they aren't, you lose a lot of time. So.
You do. So we have a term in the community which we refer to as telelife. So if he misses his spell, especially when you really needed it, you have been telelifed. So we want to see no telelifes here, but this is FF4, and the true nature of this game is that it hates all of us. So when it comes down to it, we will see what happens, but we're certainly hoping we do not see any telelife. So first one to get to our next boss battle is Penguinator, and this boss fight is Octomam. And this is where we start to see the beauty of our dancing daggers that we picked up. And how this fight plays out is Octomam from the beginning of the fight is the fastest boss in the game. But as he starts losing his arms, he does actually start to slow down. So it takes 3 hits in order to destroy the first arm, and then 2 hits for every arm thereafter. Plus, Octomam himself has a certain amount of HP, which you need to wear down in order to kill him. So Rydia gets equipped with the dancing daggers, allowing her to do the most damage out of all 3 of these characters. But as we see on Bonnie's screen,
then she immediately dies because Octomam is going to Octomam.
Yes, so Octomam occasionally likes to target her, and she has 30 HP. So even having her in the back row and equipped with the tiara, which we picked up on in Mist, she is incredibly squishy and dies very easily. So one of the situations where we do not want to see telelife is where she's dead and we're trying to bring her back, as that's one of the spells that he can miss. So the general strategy here is equip and attack with the Darkness Sword with Cecil, dancing daggers with Rydia, and once you've got a few of the arms down, then you have Tela cast Stop on himself, as the lightning ones that he was casting previously just aren't doing enough damage. And it's a waste of time to defend with him. So if he doesn't miss Stop, then it definitely makes it a time save, though can potentially get dangerous depending on who Octomam decides to attack. So it looks like everyone's playing ball so far, except for Octomam. Octomam never plays ball. So Sonny.
Yeah, if you've never actually tried this run with Rydia not having the tiara on, she basically just gets one shot by everything.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
even though you look at this fight and you're like, oh man, I see her dying so much on so many screens, it's actually way better than it would be otherwise.
And there are some times where Octomam just barely hits her, and he can hit her and only hit her for 1 damage, but sometimes he can do as many as 21 and just focus on her. So yeah, it can get pretty bad. And we really need her to, if nothing else, to survive, be alive at the end of this battle, as she needs the experience from the next few boss battles in order to survive an attack in a couple battles time against the boss Mom Bomb. So
all right, nobody too far ahead now. This is a pretty close race.
This is a close race. No one got telelife that I could see, or if they did, it was not critical, and everyone's radio was alive at the end. So we're doing some party order reordering here. As by doing this here, it is one of the last times we will have to rearrange the party until we hit our first elemental fiend up in Mount Ordeals. So that definitely saves a lot of time. Characters, as we get them now and as they leave, will filter into exactly the spots we want them in. So this is one of the next spots where you see people taking extra steps or walking certain paths.
Yeah, there are certain spots, and this is, I think we already said this already, but this is a spot where you can take steps where you can advance the enemy counter without actually getting in encounters. So that's how that kind of works.
Yeah, just
and
skipping
by
counter.
the way, Natara, do you know of any types of bards that have ever occurred in this run?
I heard of some knifey bards occasionally, maybe some forky bards. Oh, it's a spoony bard.
It's a spoony bard.
It's a spoony bard. So get your spoons ready, guys. It's spoony bard ×4.
I don't know anything about spoony bards.
Yeah, and for those asking, no CW means no credit warp. One of the categories for this game is a credit warp category, and we are not doing a credit warp. We are doing some fun things, but we will not be warping to the credits, so meaning this is no credit warp. This run is also referred to as Yes 64.
Right. There is a credit warp version of this of this game. However, because the actual credit warp itself is incredibly dangerous and mainly works like 50% of the time at the very end of the run, people don't really run it very much. This is kind of the shortest category that's actively played by most people.
Of the complete game. We also have an intro speedrunning category called Paladin %, where we race up to the point where the main character Cecil becomes a paladin. So that's approximately an hour long and is a really good intro run to this game. And yeah, the credit warp, a few of us tried it for the first time about a month or so ago, and only 1 out of the 4 of us who tried it finished, and not due to skill levels, just because the game said no.
It's really a great category, very, very important in the landscape therefore.
Oh yeah. Incredibly run. Yes, exactly. Paladin % equals Kefka and Narsh. It's the same equivalent type of category, or the Boogie % in Earthbound. So those fun little intro categories.
Yeah, the categories that we use to get more people to actually consider running the full game. I mean, intro categories.
Intro category.
Yes, let's go with that.
Though to be fair, this is a good game in that this category is approximately 2 hours and 10 minutes long. So for a full category, it is quite accessible, at least time-wise. So story-wise, they made it to Damcian, which they're heading to in order to get the Sand Ruby to cure Rosa, and because Tella was attempting to save his daughter from a bad marriage to an evil, wicked bard. Unfortunately, we arrived just too late, and the Kingdom of Baron showed up, attacked the kingdom, and stole the crystal, killing Tella's daughter in the process. So he ran off in a rage to kill the new leader of the Red Wings, Golbez, and we picked up the prince, who is going to very kindly guide us to where we need to go in order to get a Sand Ruby.
That feel when there's 3 simultaneous surprise attacks on the screen. So we got Dead Rydia on Sonny, and I think Dead Rydia on Penguin as well. So they're both going to need to pick up the safety life and immediately use it.
Yeah, so Sani is right there. There is one chest which is literally on your route. You cannot miss it, which contains a life. And anyone who runs this game any amount very rarely does not pick up that chest because the game, especially in a marathon, because this game likes to troll. And as mentioned earlier, we need Rydia to get the levels for the next fight, and Edward is also in such a case. And if you just get those wrong back attacks on your way to this boss, it can end very poorly. So Sani obviously knows from his step routing he does not have any more encounters before the next boss, so use the potion after his last encounter.
It's actually faster to use it in the Antlion battle, but I mean that's such a rare circumstance that I'm not surprised that he doesn't know it offhand.
Exactly. Now, this fight is a little more scary and casual than it is in the speedrun, because every time you physically attack Antlion, he counters for quite a bit of damage. However, when you use dancing daggers as an item, as we do, not only do they do a lot of damage, but they count as a magic attack, so that does not trigger the counter. So all this fight takes is Cecil defending or rearranging items, and both Edward and Rydia tossing dancing daggers, and after 3 or 4 damage rolls depending, Antlion is down, and they get that free bit of experience that they need, and off to the next set of cutscenes.
Is this a close race or what? Look at these guys.
I
Wow.
love this.
Everybody just hanging out by Antlion as I speak.
Yep, and it's just depending because they are all on different encounter seeds. So it really is just depending on what their seeds are like and what encounters they're getting. And unfortunately, we do not yet have any sort of back attack manipulation. So even if you are on a step route, we cannot control what of those encounters are back attacks or not. So depending on what RNG gives to each of these runners, this is going to stay close, and it is so close, even though it looks like I think Couch or Penguin is in the lead. It really could, it's anyone's game so far.
There is back tech manipulation that's been developed, but it's only for a few seats.
Yeah,
it's not something that's going to be seen in a run, for sure.
No, it's too ridiculous to do for all of the seeds.
You have to have like a thing open and input your encounters, and it's very complicated. I wouldn't recommend anybody try that unless you're crazy like me.
Yeah. And as we saw on Couch's screen, Rydia did just die, but at this point we don't care. All we need to do is get out of this cave and continue on with the plot. She will be automatically resurrected before our next plot battle, so we just need to survive, and as long as you've got Cecil at any decent health, getting back to your next set of cutscenes is not an issue whatsoever. And the version of this game is Final Fantasy II US. So it's the version that came out for the Super Nintendo as Final Fantasy II. What is the credit warp? Yes, the CW is the credits warp. So we will not be warping right to the credits. So, because we ain't got time for that nonsense.
So all these runners are about to head into a fight with the Water Hag. Of course, the Water Hag, the radio DJ at K101, the Hag, really offended by Edward's use of harp. Not really a fan, more of a metalhead, and of course has to take it out right on Edward.
Well, and who doesn't really?
Also, he probably is like pro knifey bards. We got a spoony bard here, so.
Yeah, so that's just right out. So this is a bit of a fun fight. It is just a plot battle, and all it takes is 3 hits. Damage doesn't even matter. It just takes 3 hits from Edward in order to make this water hag die. Previous versions of this run, which didn't have the dancing dagger or having Edward in the middle position, got a little scary because there was actually a potential to die in this, what should have been just a basic whole day to win plot fight. But as long as he has the dancing dagger equipped and is in the middle position as he has the Final Fantasy IV equivalent of 100% accuracy. So thankfully, it is not an issue. which is great because I believe the amount of HP this water hag has is 45,672, which is not at all excessive.
I mean, it's a lot, but it's not excessive. I mean, when Water Hag takes down Zermus, I mean, you'll understand. Katara, you'll
Yeah,
understand.
it's true. He'll be the second truest hero of this game.
True, nobody can beat Dark Elf.
No, nobody can beat Dark Elf.
So Edward vanquishes this thing, gets himself some levels, which is really important for the speedrun route because his HP for this next fight needs to be above a certain threshold so he can survive.
Yep. With him and Rydia being the only two currently who can equip dancing daggers, they are our major damage dealers. So having them dead because they're also the squishiest characters we have is really not something we're looking for. So there's many different strategies throughout the run in order to mitigate that. So in this case, it's making sure they get all the levels possible so they have as much HP as possible to survive the nice big group attack which is coming from our next boss.
Natara, how do you feel about piloting that hovercraft? What do you think about it?
I think piloting that hovercraft is the worst and hardest part of this run. In all seriousness. Yeah, no, it is really not very nice. It is incredibly complicated. Now, the more you run this route, the more you just get used to how that hovercraft works. You're also going to note that each of these runners is parking their hovercraft in the exact same spot to the left of the mountain. This is not just stylistic, this is actual an important part of this route. Without doing that, they cannot complete.
Yeah, the final glitch has a lot of extremely arbitrary conditions based on certain game inputs, and one of them is that hovercraft be parked at those exact coordinates.
Absolutely. So, and those who are kind of just tuning in or who have been watching this, I highly recommend you stay to the end of the run. Not just because I think this is a fantastic run, but things get really exciting. The most exciting and incredible part of the speed run is probably the last 15 to 20 minutes of the run. So, if you've never seen this particular category before, please stick around if you can. It's incredibly impressive.
And yes, as Scratch Dragon pointed out in chat, Rosa is the best life coach.
Yeah.
Can't believe we missed your whole thing on that, Natara.
Oh, it's not too late, man. You have this poor little girl who is terrified of fire, and she's like, no, my mom got killed by fire, my town burned. Well, she didn't get killed by fire, but her body got burned by fire, and my town got burned. So I'm terrified, and all Rosa needs to do is just say a couple kind words, slip her a little cookie on the side. Kids love treats. And Rydia's suddenly like, I love fire. Fire's the greatest. So we all need Rosa in here. So
Sonny getting the unfortunate scenario where an imp cap survives that second kick.
At least it's only a 4-turn though. So again, like all of these sort of fights, we're not controlling Yang, but there are still ways to manipulate the fight. And it does go differently depending on RNG. So it can be between 3 and 5 turns. We obviously want 3. Sonny got 4, so no one getting 5. But Mom Bomb is really the first difficult and kind of scary boss in this run. And she comes in 3 forms, 3 phases. First one being this phase where they're trying to do 800 damage to trigger her move into the next phase. Now, it's in this phase that we need to make sure that both Edward and Rydia are at full HP. Because in the second phase, which I like to call the exploding cloud phase, shortly after changing, she does explode at the entire party. And if they do not have enough HP, it is a random chance, depending on damage rolls, whether Rydia and Edward will survive. And in the third form they have here, we have 3 gray bombs and 3 orange bombs. And the gray bombs each have 100 HP. So the only ones who can reliably one-shot these bombs are Rydia and Edward. So if the red bombs are not killed in enough time, they will start exploding and murdering your party members, which of course is not ideal. We do also want Edward, not so much anyone else, but Edward alive at the end of this battle, as Rydia is not going to be needed for the next battle, but Edward still is. So we want to get him more levels for that next battle, or series of battles.
I want to point out one thing in this fight, which was that Penguin, my boy, went and did the bow strats here.
Ooh.
So he will be one of the latest kind of tech advancements for this run is by equipping the bow on Cecil really early, you can set up the what's called the back row glitch, where a character can attack as normal from the back row, but loses the ability to crit. And by doing this, he can wind up putting the fire sword on Cecil way earlier. So instead of seeing a dancing dagger animation, he can probably save about 8 to 10 seconds on the last 2 fights of this run. So that should be interesting. See if he can pull it off.
So now the walk down Mount Colts and to Fabul, our next town, can get a little scary depending on what step or encounter seed you are on, because not only can you get quite a lot of encounters, you can get some bigger encounter packs. So if you've taken a lot of damage in the Mom Bomb fight, there is a chance of dying.
Yeah, most of the step routes actually do a pretty good job of staying away from encounters on this walk specifically. Another thing that's really bad about back attacks on this walk in particular is just that there are so many huge packs of enemies here. So when you do get back attacked along the way, it's often not 2 enemies, but 6. And that takes up even more time, obviously.
What did I call the mountain? Did I? Yeah, I've been playing nothing but Final Fantasy VI lately, so oh, it's Mount Hobbs. I called it Mount Colts. We're getting Saban here, guys. He's really gonna improve our run.
A true traitor, Natara.
That's me.
Traitor.
That's me. This will always be my true love. Okay, and we've got Vani doing some nice marathon safety strats, saving outside of Fabul, because all of our runners here are heading into what's called the Fabul Gauntlet. And this section of the game can be really quite terrifying, even to experienced runners. The reason for that being is you only have 3 party members, one of them being Edward, who is, again, a really important damage dealer, but he does not have a lot of HP. And unlike our previous boss battles, even though the boss battle music is playing, all of these battles are coded as random encounters. And for those unfamiliar with Edward, he has a mechanic referred to as hide, where if his HP gets low enough, he automatically hides and is completely useless. But he does not do that in boss battles. So as these are still encountered as coded as random encounters, if his HP gets too low, he will hide and be totally useless to you. So you would rather a Deadward than a Hideward.
Always. 100% of the time. All these runners doing pretty well so far. No Edwards in danger after the first real wave here. See one at 62, but otherwise everything's looking pretty good.
Yeah, and this is one of the if you didn't do any amount of run buffering earlier, this is the place where run buffering is very important. You want to buffer the attack so Edward can at least kill one of the soldiers before the or the fighters, I believe, before they attack, because every less attack is one less attack that is not potentially going towards Edward, because they hit for quite a bit of damage. Oh, and our friend, everyone's favorite, Mylon Z, is in chat, so please everyone, welcome him strongly. We're always so happy to have him on our side, and by on our side I mean on the side of Final Fantasy IV.
This is as far as like new people learning this game, this is one of the big points where everybody, it's all fun and games up to here, and then they start trying to run buffer Fabul, and they realize, oh, this game actually takes some skill, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. You can learn all this stuff easier, but here, for newer people, the strategy is often lowering the message speed, so the can't run message will stay on the screen longer, giving more time to do those run buffers.
Yeah, this is looking pretty good for everybody so far. Thankfully. I can't tell you how many times I've done this. Like the last time I did this for Harrier Leap Done Quick, trying to keep Edward alive, and he died like second fight, and we had to kind of nurse it through.
Unfortunately, it's not easy at all, and unfortunately, this is just one of those series of fights where you can be the best runner ever, and it's still going to happen. So everything but RNG in the game are liking everyone so far. One of the other things that you may notice them doing is, especially during the gargoyle fight, is one of the more common places to do it, is they're once again doing the item duplication glitch. And this time they are duplicating Yang's Fire Claw. This is not to make money in this case. This is going to be another one of those arbitrary things that the runners are going to be doing in order to manipulate the glitch at the end of the game.
Yeah, the amount of claws in certain spots in the inventory winds up sending you to different places based on what number of claws you have, and these runners will be using those fire claws to warp themselves to particular spots rather than random spots that are probably bad for them.
Exactly. So once they get into the crystal room, they're safe. They've defeated the 6 battles they needed that were dangerous. And all that's left here is a plot battle. So who should show up but our favorite Dragoon, who is apparently no longer our friend and wants to fight us in single combat. Now, we don't have time for this. There's so much plot happening. So the battle ends when Cecil is dead. So rather than trying to fight a Dragoon we cannot beat, we try and help him out and hit ourselves. The most common good situation you're going to see is Kane hits, Cecil hits, and Cecil's in critical HP, which will skip some text and then end the battle. This is what's most common and what we do want. The best situation is where Cecil just crits. Between Cecil and Kane's hits, Cecil's just outright dead from those 2 hits, and then the battle ends immediately, saving a lot of time. No way to manipulate that currently, though. That is just random. The bad scenario is where between Kane and Cecil, Kane is still standing tall, and we get all the extra text. So far everyone has skipped the text. Let's see what Penguinator gets here now. He's on the chopping block for us. Oh, he did just fine.
Yeah, this is one of those sources of RNG that runners just can't control, and all of them come out really well from Fabul for sure. These are not like PB pace times for anybody, but not bad at all considering a marathon.
Yeah, this is incredible that they're all still so close, and there are definitely a lot more spots coming up where we're definitely probably going to see some changes in how close everyone is, but yeah, we're all still in the same spot, so this is incredible. Listen, we have runners in the chat, guys.
So anyway, we see these runners continue their step route. Depending on how their step route calls for certain things here, you'll see the runners avoid carpets and or stair tiles and the front of the shop. All of these actually do not advance the step counter, so there are what we call 10 optional steps in Fabul, and somewhere along the way they will either take or not take the right amount for their step route. Like you'll see some people walk up to that shop that Bonnie just did, and you'll see some like him avoid it entirely. Now you see Sonny starting the Fire Claw stuff, getting those in the inventory for later. This is kind of like the last big equipping sequence too, where runners will get set up for the rough times ahead that are Mylon and Mylon Z and the big boat ride.
Yeah, and it is important to do all of this equipping and stuff here because not only when you leave here and enter that boat, you're going to lose most of these characters. So if they have items you wanted or had a dupe setup, such as Kane, such as Yang, you're going to lose all that. So you certainly don't want that. So you definitely saw some people removing the tiara from Rydia and finishing the Fireclaw dupe, and some even equipping the Black Sword. So, but looks like all of them are either on the boat or heading directly there now. So it's time for our next kind of really long cutscene.
The good thing is that, every time these guys get on this boat, I always feel like there's a great chance that they're going to succeed. They're definitely going to make it to the end.
Well, of course they are. The idea here is they are all looking to go to Baron because they figure if they can get to Baron, they can meet up with Sid, who's going to give them an airship. And if they have an airship, well, then obviously they can defeat Golbez and save the world. No problem, right? So, totally best plan ever.
Of course, if anybody wants to go ROM hacking, one of the popular ROM hacks for this game actually lets you succeed on this boat journey.
So the game turns out very differently past that.
Yes. Listen, Tara. Listen.
Listen. So yeah, this is unfortunately, like, there are a couple of cutscenes in this game where the runners can take an actual break. However, this is not one of them because the game was kind enough to give us sections where they actually need to mash text. So, yeah, sometimes the runners just take a little break here, at least in chat, because they gotta be here mashing, but there's not much they have to do. The cutscene is gonna happen. So unfortunately, they do not make it safely to Baron. They instead run into the King of the Sea, Leviathan, who wrecks their boat. Rydia goes overboard. Yang jumps after her, though it does look like, if you look carefully, that Cecil may have pushed Yang overboard. You decide what you think happened. And in either scenario, Edward being like, "No, I'm much less in danger if I'm, on the floor," so he just face plants. Does not save him.
I've always been in the camp that says that Cecil pushes Yang. I feel like he's jealous of Yang's ability to actually hit
things.
monsters for actual damage in the Blue Gauntlet, and just takes their island. Well, yeah, like Natara said, you can kind of draw your own beliefs. So, hitting Mysidia for the first time, you'll actually see our runners shop for the first time in a long time since Mist, because finally there's stuff here that you'd actually want to buy. Some of our runners will be picking up items that they will use in the glitch, depending on whether they're using the 9-item or 12-item route. There's kind of a preference thing there. There's also runners will be picking up Cure 2s and Lives, as well as possibly Ethers and Heals, depending on how they feel. So this is like kind of the big shopping sequence of the game.
Yeah, it's probably... Yeah, it's not the last shopping sequence, but it is certainly the last one for a while. So you saw that Couch with his quantities. He did go a little under and then spent some time fixing it. And that's because he had to sell a very specific amount of Fire Claws to make sure his stack was correct. And so the runners usually just buy that amount of items since they have to be at that number anyways. But it was important that he was at exactly 70. Yeah, and they got so much gold by doing an item duplication glitch at the beginning of the game where they sold an item for millions of GP.
Well, technically they sold like a gazillion of the item, but yeah.
Yeah, a gazillion invisible shields for lots of money.
The economy of Mist was quite stimulated.
Yeah.
And they used all those iron shields to rebuild, and everybody was happy.
They do. And so you show up to Mysidia and you go up to the Elder and you explain your plight. You're trying to save the world. Stop Baron. You've totally repented your evil ways. And the Elder's like, "We don't believe you whatsoever. So you gotta prove yourself. Go to this mountain, become a paladin, and we'll trust you." And Cecil tries to fight this. He's like, "I don't have time for this. I have to save the world." And the Elder's like, "No paladin, no help." And Cecil's like, "Okay, no problem. Let's do it." And the Elder's like, "And take these 2 5-year-olds with you." So even though he does not trust you whatsoever, he's sending 2 5-year-olds with you as
Of
a
course,
wonderful example of parenting.
I mean, that's the way you get rid of unwanted 5-year-olds, right? Just send them away with the nearest Dark Knight.
Yep. And a paladin is a holy knight, so unlike the darkness and the dark knight that Cecil currently is.
So depending on what our runners are planning for this next boss battle, you might see some of them actually go into a fight and try to hit Porum. the glitch that they're trying to pull off would involve that sort of thing. Although I saw only Couch pick up the carrot, and
He's
had
the
a
only
back
one I
attack.
saw as well.
So
I definitely saw a bunch of them.
He's already in position to perform the glitch as long as he cures Palom up.
Yeah, and I think they all moved up the trash can. Which will be another fun part of it. Wow.
Look at Couch's Palom and Palom living dangerously now.
Very dangerously. It's not like you need them. Yeah, and one of the changes made to this game was there was some censorship added. So apparently, a Square North America thought a giant bowling ball of doom would be less gruesome than the blade, which hung there originally in the Super Famicom version. Not sure I agree, but that was their
when you go to Golbez's bowling alley, you play for keeps.
Oh,
right?
do you ever? So they're all doing some cutscenes, seeing what's happening. Meanwhile, Golbez has decided that he is not going to let Kane try and attack you. Instead, he's going to send someone named Mylon in an epic red cloak there.
Are we really going to play the red cloak, purple cloak game?
We're always going to play that game.
2017.
I still don't understand. Until someone can explain to me why that happens, I will bring it up every time.
Some memes never die, folks.
I will make sure.
Never die.
As long as I'm commentating, I will make sure that one never dies. So who should we find up on Mount Ordeals but the old man who rushed away for revenge earlier. Though he's lost or something because he's coming down the way we're heading. And these two twins are super excited. This guy is like their hero. And Tella ignores them completely to have adult time. Have adult talking time with Cecil. So it means we are very stacked for magic here. Unfortunately, Tella is not super important for this chunk right here, though he does have a very important role for a glitch, which I believe most of these runners are going to be attempting. So we can definitely see some future rage and Tella life, which we hope to not see at all. Oh, nice strike first on that zombie dance party for Sonny.
We hope to not see it? Oh, wait, which side are we rooting for, Natara?
I
thought we were here for the trolls.
No. You can be here for the trolls. I'm rooting for the runners.
So you see
and a little bit for the game.
Sonny is setting up to play it very safe here. He's throwing out all Tiara stuff, Gaia stuff, giving everybody the best possible chance to survive everything. I expect Couch will probably not be doing this.
Yeah, and making sure Tella has the change rod equipped. Less important for this portion of the run, but extraordinarily important for later. Yeah, we unfortunately will not be seeing any piggy paladins in this section of the game. One of the strategies for the second fight is piggy pallies. But for now, let's see who is...
Well, Couch just cured up Forum, so...
Looks like we are...
see what's going to happen here.
I think we're going to play it safe. So there's a glitch here referred to as the Mimic Glitch, which can be used against both Mylon and Mylon Z. Technically, it can be used at any time that you have the twins, but most effectively used against Mylon and Mylon Z, where you manipulate the functions of the twin cast to put Palom into a mimic, a glitched out mimic status, where he will just mimic anything the person that goes before him does. And we take advantage of this to make him throw items that should not regularly be thrown, in this case either the carrot or the trash can. And when the carrot is thrown, acts as fire 3 times 8, and the trash can I believe is holy times 8, or white as it's translated in this game. So you can use the carrot on either Mylon or Mylon Z, but you can only use the trash can against Mylon Z. So it's why this glitch is often referred to as the carrot trash can glitch, as that's usually, if you're doing both of them, the order in which you're doing them. However, the carrot glitch for against Mylon is a lot more picky and a lot more can go wrong, and
You
it's a
can
lot
see
more
Penguinator's
dangerous.
going for it right now, actually.
Oh,
So
going
he's
living
still-
for danger.
He's still in on it.
Yeah, he could catch up if it's successful. Let's see what he does. That involves killing off Porum.
Looks good so far. He's going to
Yep.
make this one hit, though. Nope. He missed
Nope,
the run
too
buffer.
early.
The initial
Yeah.
run buffer on Porum, unfortunately. So
what they were doing is Cecil is the person who, if set up correctly, goes immediately before Palom. So his job is to partially use an item and then cancel out and swap it with the carrot. So then and then he would get stopped by Tella if everything went right, and then Palom's turn would come up and he would throw that carrot. Unfortunately, the run buffer was not done quite correctly, so Cecil got stopped before he got a chance to half use the item.
Couch has blown the trash can glitch now, looks like.
Oh no! Yeah, and so Trash Can on Mylon Z is an easier setup, but still not guaranteed.
However, I believe Sawney hit it. Yeah, Sawney
Yeah,
is
Sawney
actually
got
coming
it.
out of this early now.
Nice. So we threw the Trash Can for 4,500 damage against Mylon Z. It is beautiful.
So there's one successful story there.
Yeah.
I imagine Cash will now be backing off into throw cure 2s and everything mode.
Yeah, exactly, which is definitely safer.
And Bonnie will be going for Trash Can as well here. So
yeah,
if you want to watch it again, this is kind of, we're hoping to see him catch up a little bit too.
Yeah, and you'll probably see Penguinator do it as well. I'll be shocked if we don't.
So how about that? Saudi is the one with the lowest, the highest PB of all these players, and he is the first to Paladin.
Yeah, a Carrot Trash Can is a great point of, it's a run killer very often, or many times it can be a run killer, but it can also really put you in the lead if you succeed with it. So as you can see, everyone's not quite as close anymore after Mylon and Mylon Z. So another successful can from Vonnie. He's doing some inventory management while Mylon Z is dying, because boy does that dude take his time dying.
Yeah, all the elemental fiends have a very slow kind of shudder death, and during that time, for this purposes of this run, you're actually very happy to see that, because you can manipulate a lot of inventory in that time.
Absolutely.
And certain routes actually will pick up more things at Mysidia, hoping to set up more of the glitch early because of that.
Yeah. So what we see Sonny doing here is he has become a paladin and is fighting his darkness, his other self. And what you're supposed to do in this battle is you're just supposed to sit and wait, and the battle will eventually end with a lot of extra text. But we don't have time for that, because in this version of the game, they lowered the Dark Knight's HP to like 1,000, 1,200, quite low. So with 3 or 4, and sometimes very rarely 5 dancing daggers, which Paladin Cecil can now use, you can just kill this guy before he gets talking.
And so you see, we had a successful carrot from Penguin here. So everybody was able to get rid of Mylon Z earlier, except for Couch, and you see Couch has now fallen from second to last, basically.
Yeah, but again, there's plenty of time to catch up.
The fickle nature of that glitch, unfortunately.
Now, I want to address something else which has appeared on the screen, which is Vonnie has suddenly gained these red bars to the side of this screen. Now, this is an accepted within the community aid for part of the glitch. It is absolutely valid and not cheating. So what these red bars are is part of the arbitrary manipulation for the glitch at the end of the game is what side of the screen a chocobo leaves on. So now that they are done with the Mylons, even though Couch got a not very nice encounter afterwards. Oh god, he ran away, thank goodness.
It was pretty close there.
It was really close. They are all going to catch a chocobo. And what they want is for the top pixel on the top of the head of this chocobo to leave the screen on any of the empty spaces that you see on those bars. that top of the chocobo hits any of those red bars, it is an invalid chocobo and will cause the glitch to fail if they go into it with as it stands. So they would have to get another chocobo at a later point in the run to make sure they have a good chocobo. So you guys can look and see when they let go of the chocobo as it leaves next to Mysidia, and help judge yourself whether they have gotten good or bad chocobos.
Yeah, it's kind of like, at this point, you're so elated to finally be Mylon Z, get the trash can off, hopefully, for most of these runners. And now you're just like, please, can we get this chocobo so we have a good run here?
Yeah, exactly. So, and yes, all the runners attempted trash can. All of them except for Couch was successful. So we did not see the other strategy, which is called Piggy Pally, which is you set between 2 to all of your characters into pigs, making them immune to poison, and making it safer and kind of fast. So that looked like a good bird for Sonny. Close
Yeah, I think
though.
he's good. I think he's good.
Yeah, it was good but close. Yeah, Piggy Pally there and there. So what happens with the Piggy Paladin strat is you walk into the Paladin cave as a pig. So it is a pig that receives the Legend Sword. So it's pretty fun. It's my personal favorite way to do that fight. Because you get our awesome Piggy Pally, which you
Meh.
can see in Franker Facey.
Meh.
Meh. I love those Piggy Pallies.
I like going fast.
Yeah, I know. That's why you have previously held the world record, and I am nowhere close. Ah, yeah. So,
and weirdly excited about it.
I love it. I'm okay with it. So one of the things which comes up frequently in this game is this long legend. It comes up multiple times. So, actually only once now in this particular category. So enjoy. It's long.
It's very long. It's really
Very
annoying.
Yeah, so Vani next to get to our bird. So even though he was one of the later ones to get through Mylon Z, he still got good encounters coming down. So is the second attempting to get the bird. So let's see what we got.
Let's see what we got. That also appeared to be a good bird.
Yeah, oh, that was beautiful. That
It was pretty close, but
very nice.
It was right there.
If you're not on a step route, then one of the tricks you can do is called Guaranteed Chocobo Manip, and it involves saving in front of the Chocobo Forest and resetting and walking in a specific way to catch your Chocobo, and it will guarantee that you will get a safe Chocobo. However, if you are safely on a step route, it's not worth it to do it in most cases. You would rather get another chocobo at a later point in time when the step route doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, the way the chocobo thing works is there is a NPC value in this game that advances every frame you're in a town or something like that with people that are moving, and because we can't actually guarantee that with any certainty on this run, because Mylon Z's death animation actually advances that counter a random number of frames. Nobody actually knows what to do with that, so we kind of have to throw up this thing and guess.
For sure. I want to know Penguinator got a bad bird, so he will have to get another one later. And we have Sonny, who has made it back to Baron and is found Yang, who apparently also does not want to be friends in the way Kane did not earlier.
So, Penguin should have worn the penguin costume.
Yeah, he should have worn the penguin costume.
Yeah,
He could be. His camera's not on. We'd never know.
Well, I doubt that he's wearing it if he was going to show it off.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, let's see what Couch got. And
Couch
Couch also got a big good bird.
Couch was way good. Couch is like when a fuel kicker hits it straight down the middle.
Yeah. We also get some Mysidia Babe hugs from Vani. The NPCs really love to get in your way in this game, and we like to call them the town name Babe or Hunk, depending on whether it's, the lady or the dude sprite. And Mysidia Babe is particularly awful in Mysidia for getting in your way. And I want to note, Sonny did get 2 ghost people. So the NPCs freeze during this walk. So if they're in your way, you walk right through them. So the one at the bottom next to the inn we refer to as Ghost Girl. And sometimes if you time it just right, you can walk right through 2 of them. So it's pretty fun. No effect on the game whatsoever, but really kind of neat.
So the way that this Yang battle is coded here is that after his second attack, anything that Cecil does attack-wise that even targets him automatically triggers the cutscene to end. So if you happen to miss, Yang will still say "ouch," and it will still cut away.
So again, it's another good battle for inventory management. So as there's a lot of sitting around, and there's, while Yang is just kicking anyways, it's an animation you can't do anything with.
So Sonny's doing the last shopping of the game here. Most of these runners will be picking up headbands and karates. These both increase the strength ratings of Yang and Cecil, as well as a later party member. And then, for some reason, arbitrarily buying a bunch of claws and cure rods. I have no idea what that's about, Natara. Do you?
No, not a clue. He just really seems to like those items. I will note that both Couch and Vani are going to buy different items. Arbitrary items.
Yes. Completely arbitrary. No real point to it.
Not at all. Definitely not one of the most important shopping trips of the run.
So from here on out, just to put this note in, bag attacks are really incredibly unfortunate because
they are.
All of the at this point your levels are much lower than they used to be, and your agility from this point on is compromised by the fact that nobody at all is fast, including Cecil, Yang, and Tella. So unfortunately, every time you get in an encounter now, you have a much higher chance of getting a bag attack, and because the enemies are much tougher, you wind up, having to take a whole lot more time lost than you would have before.
So really, when it comes down to it, Penguinator and Couch are really quite close to each other. Vani is the next closest, and Sonny is currently in the lead. It is not too late to call this race. It could change at any point. There are so many kind of catch points in this run remaining, so this is still a race. But yeah, everyone's not tied up anymore, and they probably won't be very much for the rest of the run. At least not all 4 of them, though that would be amazing. Oh, another Ghost Girl? And also noting, because I love noting this, the little key symbol next to the Baron key looks like Jafar's staff from Aladdin. You're welcome. The silly things you notice when you play this game over and over. So now this menu that Sonny is doing is another really important one because he is coming across a boss battle here now shortly, and he wants to make sure that his necessary players are not going to die. And what he's doing with Tella right now is referred to as the MP underflow glitch. So this is where Tella starts getting incredibly useful in a way he wasn't before, because he was capped at 90 HP before, and he has some really cool spells that he can't use much or at all with that amount of HP. But by using all of his MP and buffering it on a frame, so tricking it to cast a spell he did not have MP for, the game doesn't like negatives. So instead of going into the negatives, it rolled around to be an excessive amount of MP. So you're gonna see Tella doing some cool stuff.
You're also going to see in this battle the start of massive experience manipulation.
Yes.
All of our runners will be trying to get Kane when he comes back in this game to join at level 19, and to accomplish this, what they're going to be doing is killing a bunch of their own characters. As you see, Sonny spraying death all over Palamporum and Yang here.
Yep. Especially with those dancing daggers, they are Beautiful for one-shotting your own characters. And Medio, who says Tella is too old to use Medio? They obviously have not seen him use it. So, it's a little slow, but very nicely destroys Mr. Beigen there.
Did you say bacon?
Oh, I love bacon, don't you? So, we'll get into it a little more as the run progresses, but there's a big glitch at the end of this category. And the name, what we call it when you really just, you've soft locked your game in the glitch, is referred to as bacon. So bacon is a bad word in this category.
Yeah, there was one runner in particular who was very insistent that we not talk about bacon at all, but as you can see, we don't really care about that.
Nope. I had bacon with supper. It was delicious. They're like, Natara, please. I'm like, bacon is so good. No, bacon in this game is awful. You do not want bacon. Bad bacon.
Bacon
So,
is bay.
Bacon is bay, truth. So Sani, getting to our next fight, they have brought back Yang for this fight because we need him to do a couple of fights. This fight, if it goes correctly, should work really well. But unfortunately, we are banking on Tella and his greatly varied damage rolls. So there's no
okay.
point
He's never rolled below 4,000.
No, never. So yeah, Ainazo has 4,000 HP, and so that's the amount of damage. Oh, beautiful. So that is a good roll there. So between the hits from Cecil and Yang and that lit 3, should be able to completely kill Beigen and do lots of inventory management. Or not Beigen, Kainazo. We've already killed Beigen.
Yeah, that's what you're banking on for sure. There are poor rolls and backups to those rolls, but unfortunately, this category you really want that menu time. So
Yes,
this can be like a really big troll point for the run if it wants to just throw you a 3,200 roll. Then there's really no recourse you can do. You'll just have to condense your menuing in the next couple fights.
Exactly. And yes, I love awful puns for those in the chat. If you got them, bring them. So let's see how the rest of these goes. Again, if these fights go the way they're supposed to, both with the execution and the damage rolls, they're really quite easy, but there is still quite a lot that can go wrong, damage rolls especially. I love how on couches, Cecil covered low HP Yang, and then Cecil proceeded to dancing dagger him.
I mean, there's only so much one man can cover. Give him a break. Jeez, Tara, you're so demanding.
That's me. Demand all the best rolls.
All right, let's see what Vonnie's gonna get here.
Oh, Vonnie also he has
next
his.
up to play the Kainazo lottery.
He is, and he's got his Yang at full health. So again, they are doing some very specific.
44.
Oh no!
There's
So
no
this
way
is the
that's ever
bad
happened
scenario.
before. This is
Never.
unprecedented territory.
Tella has definitely never done anything like this before. So guys, this is where we use our beautiful Tella life and Franker Face Z. Thank you, Tella, for nothing. Thankfully, he was close enough to the threshold that he could just hit him with Cecil and flip him over. It didn't necessitate another spell of any sort. But yeah, because of the experience routing, each of these runners have a different way to route their experience. And as long as Kane comes back at level 19, it doesn't matter so much. So they all have their different routes. So Vonnie chooses
Chat,
to
can you please press F to pay respects to twins?
Oh, what? Oh, yeah. Sorry, guys. Twins. Twinsies sadness.
And Couch getting the good roll there, the 41.72. So he gets the menu much faster and avoid kind of the, awkward period where you're trying to think about the menu again. And here's Penguin. 42-42. So we were 3 for 4 today. Pretty good. Pretty good considering that low rolls had never happened before in this game.
Nope,
So
never.
that's really unfortunate for Vonnie, but hopefully he'll be able to catch up.
For sure. And it is one of the reasons we make sure to have the change rod on Tella to help, again, mitigate those low rolls. But as Ivani demonstrated, unfortunately, sometimes there's no amount of mitigating you can do. Tella just tell us.
Yeah, the way we set this up is between the change rod and the Gaia helm, Tella will get +8 to his magic stat, which in the weird world of Final Fantasy IV, because we divide this by 4, equals 2 multipliers, and multipliers are kind of like the base block of damage. So every time you get a multiplier, you get to roll that spell roll 1 more time. So unfortunately, even with that, you can't guarantee that will one-shot Knazo, but that was it worked out pretty well for 3 of 4.
Yes, it did. 2 of our runners also paying their own respects in chat. So this is an interesting cutscene that Sonny is in right now. Like, this whole sequence is just a long set of cutscenes, but in this particular cutscene, there are, all throughout the game, you can press many different buttons in order to advance the text. One of them being X, which is also the menu button. However, if you use that button in this airship cutscene to mash through
Don't
the
give
text,
these runners any ideas. Come on.
then you can accidentally soft lock.
Don't give these runners any ideas.
Oh man, no swag strats. Oh, I want to give them all the ideas. Didn't we just get done saying we're rooting for the game?
Oh yeah, that's right. But
Yeah.
that would be them killing the game. I want to root for the game to win. You know.
Gotcha. So yeah, because somewhere in that frame,
Kane comes along in the airship and is like, "Hey, I'm trying to put my bowling alley. Do you want to come?" And Cecil's like, "Nah, not really." He's like, "I got your girlfriend." So now Cecil's got to do other things to get her back.
Yep, including recruiting everyone's favorite Bedward. So, and this game is so short compared to the other games because we are doing a really cool glitch at the end. The longest category for this particular game is about 3 hours and 15 minutes.
Yeah, world record for the No 64 run is about 3 hours and 4 minutes by some scrub.
No one important though. We don't talk about him here.
No one important.
No. It is, of course, our own Rivers.
Hey, we said he wasn't important. We're just gonna.
Oh, well now I've named you, so now you're here and not important. No,
we're gonna live with that.
So, as of yet, uncontested. So they are going through many cutscenes, but Sonny has finally escaped the thrall of all of these cutscenes, and he is heading for what can be pretty difficult if you don't manipulate it, which is catching a black chocobo. So we're going to see how that goes once he gets there. But these black chocobos like to run. You can actually manipulate it by watching where the frogs walk in Terraria, and it'll help tell you where you have to go to get the black chocobo, but I don't know many people who actually do it.
That actually looked like a pretty good manipulation by Sonny there.
Yeah. Definitely was a quick catch of that black chocobo. Bonnie taking some extra steps. Yep, and officially no one... Well, no, not officially. Penguinator, at least on mine. Penguinator and Couch aren't out yet, but... We're hoping no one mashed off.
Hoping.
Hoping,
I
but
not
faith.
expecting.
Most of us, most experienced runners in this game just don't even use X at all to mash, because we just know there's a couple of spots in the game where you can soft lock, so it's not even worth it. Y is one of the common ones. It's what I use, certainly. Let's see. I haven't noticed if anyone's gotten swag landing yet. All that I know is that Sonny did not. One of the hardest parts in this game is just landing next to Terraria. You have a 2 kind of spot area to park your airship, and it can be a bit of a pain.
So about the cave Magnus that Sonny is now in. There's some very special properties to this cave, wherein having anything equipped that's metal will make it impossible to move. However, because Sid has nothing equipped that's metal, we're okay with that, and we're actually going to exploit it when we get to Dark Elf by throwing something metal on Sid, so that the party immediately perishes, and we don't have to sit through Dark Elf's dialogue and speech about how he's going to crush you and whatever.
We'd be okay with the speech and all. We appreciate his attitude. However, we're trying to save time, so we just don't have time for that.
Nobody got time for that.
Nobody got time for that. So let's see. Vonnie trying to get his black chocobo. Oh, not bad. Not bad. So, what they do after talking to Edward is they're using an ether in order to get rid of the MP underflow, because while Atella is in an MP underflow status, he is unable to use any magic within the menu. He can only use it in battles. So, it is much faster to use the exit spell to leave, so they have to cancel the MP underflow. So, by restoring MP, it fixes it.
Sonic got a couple back attacks in that cave, and Tella died, but it doesn't actually matter because he's just being brought back anyway by this cutscene, so he's all good.
Yeah. Yes, he is. Oh, and Penguinator got his too. Lovely. Oh my god, Sonny just died. What just happened?
Stop, Tara. Stop it. You're worse. You're even better than you were when you were encouraging the soft block.
I know, right? So we purposely died in that cutscene, as Rivers explained like 2 minutes before. So, by putting that metal on Sid, we don't get to listen to talking. Everyone dies, and we just jump to the next set of cutscenes.
Tara, please.
You're welcome. So, Dark Elf, as much as we love him, really hates any and all music, or specifically Edward's music. That's 2 enemies so far who just hate Edward's playing.
Yeah, Edward must be really bad. That's
the
only conclusion I can draw from this.
He must love playing it. He plays it enough. He calls himself a bard, but he's actually terrible. Couch has extra steps in the save room, but so he steps in long enough to take those and leave. But yes, after you die and get brought, and the music disrupts the field, everyone is brought back at full health, so there's no reason to cure up before this fight. Other than to do, your equipping and whatnot.
Yeah, you'll see them throw the Iron Glove on Sid, and some of them will probably throw Headband on too. They'll try to boost Sid's damage. I just saw their body didn't, but it's pretty common that you'll see that.
Yeah. So you always know when you've either forgotten to remove the Iron Glove from Kain at the beginning of the game, or if you forgot to equip it, because you have to sit and wait for the Dark Elf to defeat your party.
So Sonny drew the Whisper there. That was actually not optimal strategizing, but thankfully it did not hit Tella, so it doesn't actually matter.
Yeah.
Now the pig hanging out.
Yeah. Now, the cool thing about this fight is, for some reason, when Dark Elf changes into this form, he does not have any of the usual flags that bosses have, making them immune to certain spells, such as Weak. So, we immediately have Atella cast Weak on Dark Elf, bringing him down to single-digit HP, and then hitting him once to just end the fight.
Yeah, so it's really a beautiful boss fight in the grand scheme of things. Mostly because it's not hard.
Yeah, exactly.
If you haven't noticed, pretty much everything after we get Tella is not very hard, mostly because Tella can just cheese them all out. So
exactly.
it's really nice to have a character like that, even though everybody hates him.
Yeah. Well, he really earns a lot of the ire against him. When he does what he's supposed to and uses fantastic spells like Meteor, he's an amazing character. But otherwise, Sonny thinks he got a bad bird because he's got his chocobo bars up again. Though
well,
he did
got a
not.
black chocobo now, so
but he got black
matter.
chocobo. Okay, because I was gonna say he got a good bird. So
so parking this black chocobo in this completely arbitrary spot for no reason whatsoever.
Yep.
Yeah, it's got nothing to do with the big game and glitch. The black chocobo position, as we said earlier for the hovercraft, is one of those weird things you don't think about that actually matters for the glitch.
Yeah.
So you'll see every runner park along that same little axis.
Nice. Hey, 3 HP is more than Cecil actually needed, so he's great. So now that they have all cleared or are about to clear out Cave Magnus and the Dark Elf, they are heading next into the Tower of Zot, which, as Rivers mentioned earlier, back attacks are a lot more deadly at this point in the game, and unfortunately Tower of Zot has a lot of potential back attacks.
Looks like Sonny is off step there because he's kind of like counter there before.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, there's no step route, which would allow you to get a step right on the airship. So yeah, it looks like he's off somehow.
Thankfully, it doesn't actually matter to this point because he's so
It
close to
doesn't.
the end of the run, but it
Yeah.
is, 8 seconds wasted.
Yeah, exactly. And yes, if you guys are new to this run or at all, or just in any circumstance, save before you go into Tower of Zot. It can end very badly if not. And apparently Sonny did save. I saw him save, but both between the back attacks and some of the mandatory fights in here.
Yeah, all of our runners are going to be trying to pick up the fire sword in a chest here. This is one of the very few weapons worth going out of your way for, both for the additional damage on Valvelus, but also because it is a weak element for Golbez, and just by skipping certain bunches of text in that fight, you can save upwards of about 25 seconds in this run, which is pretty hard to pass up. So everybody will be going to try and get that weapon before they get to the end of this tower.
Couch
Yeah.
being trolled a little bit by the chocobos.
That's nothing new. He's used to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they troll quite a bit. Okay, so everyone is either getting their black chocobos or are on their way to Zot. So yeah, we're about to hit Flame Dog right now, so let's see how that fight goes.
Flame Dog is not very hard if you're playing it well, but if you happen to choke on your rum buffer input a little bit, it can get dangerous in a hurry because he does so much damage. So yeah, Sonny survived. I think he wanted to kill Yang in that fight. I don't know if it's going to matter or not.
No, I don't think it
experience
matters too
purposes.
much in that one, but he also did do the first half of an item duplication glitch with Cecil. And we're going to see him complete this after the Magus Sisters fight. Because he, at no point until a few fights in now, does Cecil actually require his weapon. So good. It's a really good opportunity to set that up, so we can duplicate that fire sword that was just picked up. So we only need 2 of them. We don't even need a huge stack in this case. So we can just do a half dupe. So it'll give us 2 swords, 1 for Cecil, 1 for Kane.
Yeah, the Kane one is the most important, although Cecil's will come in handy at one point in this run, except for Penguinator, because Penguinator may be trying to do the bow glitch stuff, so you might see him get Fire Sword on earlier. But for everybody else, this is a one battle thing where they just want to make sure that Golbez doesn't keep talking.
We don't have time for more talking. We need him to...
You see Vonnie here moving Cecil into the back row. This is a good safety strat for this fight because front row Cecil can get owned very quickly by Flame Dog.
Yeah, and there's not a lot that Paladin Cecil does, which is particularly great, but we definitely do abuse and really take advantage of his both automatic and purposeful covering in order to save other party members from damage.
Atari, I've got a spoiler for you.
I love spoilers.
There's not a lot that anybody besides Tella does in this run.
It's true. Why do you ruin my hopes and dreams like that?
Okay, I'll give you Kane. Kane.
Okay, cool.
Otherwise, yeah.
Hey, Rivers, can you check the FF4 Discord, please?
I see it.
Okay, just getting a little bit of information here for the run. Nothing to worry about. So we have Sonny fighting the Magus Sisters, which again, if done correctly, is quite an easy fight. In almost all circumstances, you do want Sid dead. And you start the fight by having Cecil cover Tella to take as many hits as possible so he can live long enough to cast Meteo and just kill the sisters flat out. Also taking time to do some of the inventory management, which is always important. The CW in the run means credit warp, and this is not a credit warp run. So this is any percent, no credit warp. But it is not the next run, which is no 64. This run is also referred to as the Yes 64 run, which you will see why shortly. So yes, we do have to defeat Zeromus in this run. So it is time for that cutscene. It is that time. So as useful as Tella was or was not to your run and your party, it is time for him to say goodbye, because for some reason, he can no longer cast Meteo. And Golbez is bragging, because, you know, that's what bad guys do. So the reason Tella can use all of those spells is because we did an MP underflow on his MP, giving him hundreds of MP, allowing us to do so many spells. Yeah, so some of those spells that you saw him use, he used... on this one, yeah, I understand. It's cutscene logic. They, for some reason, don't even follow their own rules in cutscenes. They just have him use everything. I guess it's the real reason he dies from Meteo here. He had already used up more MP than he had.
Yeah. Alright, sorry about that, folks. Anyway.
Welcome back.
So, Tella can only use Meteo 3 times, and then, for whatever reason,
dies.
You have to press F to pay respects to Tella.
Yep. Pay your respects. So we have Vonnie has also reached the sisters, and through it no problem got his inventory managed. And it is time for Couch to do the same, and Penguinator will be there shortly. So now that our poor Tella has given his life to cast a spell we definitely did not use 2 or 3 times previously, we get to proceed on to one of the more technical fights of this run.
Yeah, the Valvolus fight was reworked recently when Fred Coughlin discovered that by accidentally being very late on his Yang fight, his Yang attack input turns lined up in a way that were extremely beneficial. So basically, what these runs will be trying to do is find a way to get as many jumps off at the first, let's say, 2 phases of Valvolus as possible. And the optimal number, I believe, is 7 now. So, like, you'll see basically everything they do is set up to have Rosa throw slows and then kind of stack attacks, so that as little ATB as possible moves during the actual fight itself to try and accomplish getting all the jumps off.
Yeah, and you know that Tella is really dead because he did the double dragon blink and faded away. If you don't see the character in this game double dragon blink, they're not dead. Just assume they're still alive and hiding somewhere. They had other things to take care of. So now we have once again regained Kane and Rosa. Kane was apparently brainwashed this whole time, but now he's totally on our side. Nothing to worry about. So by equipping the fire sword on Cecil here, he completed the second half of the item duplication glitch, giving him the 2 fire swords. So Couch having a bit of fun with his pause button. Which will, of course, you know, deal with the in-game timer somewhat. And sometimes you just gotta do something in these cutscenes.
Sonny playing it safe by putting some equipment on Rosa. You won't see that happen for very many runners' PB runs, but it does help a lot as far as keeping Rosa upright, which in a marathon, kind of helpful. Gonna be real here. So the way the fight is set up is, with Sid and Yang both being weak at the very beginning, Cecil will be covering for them no matter what, which means that nobody really has to worry about getting hit except for Rosa and Kane.
So yeah, when this Val fight is done correctly, it looks incredible. Like it goes really quickly, and it looks very impressive.
It's one of those perpetual motion machines, basically.
Yeah. So they are casting slow on Val because most bosses, for some reason, are still weak and vulnerable to slow. So it definitely helps out quite a bit. Use it twice on Val. And you'll see us use it on later bosses, such as the creepy dolls.
Slow doesn't actually help much, generally speaking. However, because in this particular fight, it appears that Valvelus's timer for her spin actually does interact with slow. It's still really important to actually have it on. This is like the one fight where it really matters in this run. You see, Sonny got weak, so he was a little off of the timing of the pattern, but he's not in any real danger. It's just a little bit slower.
Mm-hmm.
And he got an 1100 jump. Hello. Hello.
And so we have Vani's now in into the Val fight. So Sonny and Vani are still really quite close. Couch just about to recruit Kane and Rosa, so he's next, and Penguinator not that far behind, just losing his Tella.
Yeah, Couch has really made up some ground over the last couple of boss splits, hasn't he?
Mm-hmm. So again, this is what we talk about when we say that the race isn't over, because there's so many different spots in order to save some time and to save or lose time and for places to change. So that is the end of Val for Sonny. Little close there. We
Cutting
do tend
close
to
with Cecil low there, yeah.
Yeah, we do tend to keep most people low because they can just be covered by Cecil, but Cecil needs to be high enough HP to be able to cover. If he is in critical, then he will not even attempt to cover. He will let the person tank their own damage. Perfect. So yeah, Couch just hitting Val too. We might have kind of a bit of a perpetual motion machine here as well, which always having two runners in the Val fight, because Couch will be getting near the end of the Val fight just as Penguin is getting in it, I believe. So that's pretty cool. So some of this fight does, of course, depend on Kane and his damage rolls, as with anything, but so Penguin doing his equip. Looks like everyone did get their level 19 Kane. If you didn't do your experience routing correctly, then you can end up with level 18 Kane, which is not the worst thing in the world. There's definitely strategies for it, but it is quite a bit slower because he does not have the agility required to go as frequently as you want.
Well, also, he doesn't have the damage because he gets a multiplier at 19, so
Okay,
it really makes the fight incredibly slow in comparison, which is
Mhm.
why we go so far out of our way to do it. Penguin has set up this strat with the bow off, so now you can see that Cecil will be doing full damage with Fire Sword from the back row, which is a slight time save, and at this point is just kind of fun to look at, so by all means, check it out. It's kind of neat.
So Sonny, unfortunately, again, thinks he got a bad chocobo, so he is going to farm another one. So he is going to lose some of his lead here because Vani knows he got a good chocobo. I think that chocobo was okay, but it looked closer in the bad direction to my eyes.
Well, I hope he saves then.
Yeah, the top bit of the chocobo was pretty close to that red bar, but we're gonna find out.
I missed it. I was busy trying to help out some money routing question.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, you can see now with Cecil not having to throw the dancing dagger all the time in Penguin's fight, you wind up saving little fractions of time every time Cecil attacks. So
Yeah.
adds up to not that much on one roll maybe, but over the course of these next two battles could save him maybe
Quite
about
a
8 to 10
bit.
seconds.
Yeah. So yeah, it is in the glitch itself where they're all heading now shortly, where this could really all change depending on what happens. So we will do our best to explain things as they are happening. But for right now, they are just cluing up and getting ready to go into the underground. Yes, if you get a bad chocobo, it is game over. You cannot, unless he saves on the overworld, like he will have to go back to a previous save and get another chocobo and start again. Yeah. So that is one of the situations which we like to refer to as bacon. So bacon is bad in Final Fantasy IV, at least in this specific category. In other categories, not a problem. Don't worry about it. But in no CW, no credit warp, you do not want bacon. And we will explain why it is called bacon. There's two different reasons as we get to the glitch. Bacon is almost never bad, I will correct. In this run, bacon is bad. Bad bacon.
Oh, Natara, you've raised the ire of the Twitch chat yet again.
That's what I do. I am here to please and threaten and really truly upset Twitch chat. So I'm doing my job as a commentator.
So you see Penguin has the bars up again. He knows that he had a bad chocobo last time, so he's going to correct that.
Yep, he definitely did have a bad chocobo, so this is good for him. Yes, in the routing of this run, and it's not even just significant enough to be catastrophic, it is literally run ending. So what you're going to see here is Sonny is just walking up and down some stairs.
And obviously it's because it's leg day.
Always, never skip leg day, guys. Never. And yes, you probably did see the item duplication glitch. Now, what's happening here is the way this game was programmed was not always the best, putting it mildly. And first, I'm not sure if it's just this castle or in most castles, most staircases, rather than incrementing up like one when you go upstairs and then going down when you go downstairs, just always increment up, whether you're going up or down the stairs. So what Sonny is doing here now is he is going up and down these stairs 63 times. And he is setting up the entrance to our big major glitch at the end of this category, because we are going to, I think it's overflow the buffer on the maps by going up all of these stairs. And once he finishes the next couple of fights and goes up just one more set of stairs, it will trigger the glitch. And so we will explain this big huge glitch while we're in it. But guys, things are about to get really cool.
So you can actually perform this glitch from the very beginning of the game, but because of where the glitch actually ends up sending you earlier in the run, you can't actually advance the game at all from that point because you wind up being kind of stuck in the northwest corner of Barren Town. Whereas now that you have underworld access, you can actually push out of the kind of main set scene that it sets you to. So at this point, this is the first point in the game where the runners can actually complete the game by using this glitch.
Yeah, and depending on the timing of Couch, we may have three. No, never mind. He was too slow. I was going to say we could have had three runners all doing leg day at once. So, yeah, there's definitely some really cool things about the glitch. Yeah, and if you do 64, like here, I think you go into the glitch too early. And if you've counted wrong and done too few, luckily there is a part where you can do the steps again, but it is a huge time waster. Yeah, I have no idea how people found this room originally. I think this glitch is amazing from beginning to end, but especially how they figured it out. So, but Sonny's done leg day and he's heading off into his next set of battles. He is off to fight the Calcabrina dolls, which, as far as I'm concerned, are creepy. Super, super creepy.
This is a really difficult fight too.
It is a very difficult fight.
Kind of the main factor here is that most bosses have set ATB patterns, but because the dolls, some of them are not technically classified as bosses, they can have kind of random agility. And so depending on the agility rolls, you can get one of about 6 different ATB types for this fight, and it can really kind of make or break both your run and kind of how quickly things get off in this fight. And you add to that the kind of the randomness of the damage that you do when you actually kill the dolls. And this fight is just one big RNG cluster F, basically.
Yes, it most certainly is. So you kind of have to be just watching everything as you're going the whole time and calculating and making random judgment calls. And sometimes those are going to be good, and sometimes they're not going to be so much. So knowing the backup strats for this fight.
You're going to see also in this fight, Rosa will be casting Mute on the party. That doesn't sound like it makes a whole lot of sense, but in the next fight, casting Mute here will enable us in the next fight to actually have Cecil's turn, because Mute will have a status hierarchy above the kind of paralyzed spell that Golbez uses.
Yeah, it's the same reason why in the Mylon Z fight, if you're not doing the trash can glitch, why we turn our characters into pigs. It has to do with the status ailment priority chart. So yeah, we definitely want Mute here. To not mute your party is fairly catastrophic. I do believe it can be recovered, but not easily. So Sonny
also,
here...
Kane could just jump for 2,400, so...
Yeah, he could. Oh, Sonny just got Big Doll.
We are gonna get the Big Doll.
I was just about to say before that happened that he was in a scary spot because he had the way he saw it, and he knew he had it because he swapped rows.
Yeah.
You need to kill the last orange doll and the last blue doll really, really close to each other. Otherwise, this happens. And also, if you do not kill the big doll fast enough, it will revert back to all 6 dolls, and this will rinse and repeat until you either kill them or die. So this is a big time waster. And the strategy for the big doll is to stick your main crew in the back row and just have Kane jump, just have everybody else parry. And that basically guarantees that you will kill the doll without rolling her back over to the small dolls. And yes, if this fight's done right, you shouldn't see the big doll, but from personal experience, it can be really easy to get this doll. I see it quite a lot.
The big doll is really vicious, and you've already seen by now, it deals a whole lot of damage, so unfortunately, that happened, but Sonny is able to recover and still kill him.
Yep, so we're going to see...
But now you see Sonny and Vonnie both completing the fight at about the same time now.
So this is really exciting. So the reason we did Mute, it's, as we mentioned earlier, it's the status ailment priority chart, but very specifically for this next fight coming up with Golbez. And in this fight, what is supposed to happen? Paralyze on the entire party so you can't move, but Mute is higher up on the status ailment priority chart than Paralyze, so because of that, if you are muted, then you cannot be paralyzed. So that is of course ideal. Now what you're going to see them doing while Golbez is having a bit of a chat is they are I wouldn't say frantically, but as quickly as they can manage, rearranging their items, and Sonny and Vonnie are going to be doing different item arrangements as they are doing different item routes. But they are putting them in a very specific order to ensure that they do the glitch correctly. Now, unfortunately, Sonny wanted Kane to jump right at the beginning of the battle. That did not happen. Plus, he set up, it looks like, Cecil to attack before he had Kane in the air. So, yeah, what you're trying to do here is you're trying to kill Golbez before Rydia shows up, but that's not going to happen. And not only is that not going to happen, things are a little scary for Sonny right now.
Yeah,
Golbez... he's very, very dangerous.
Golbez, unfortunately, is very fast. So
yep, and hurts a lot.
He's going to need to get some good rolls here, or life somebody or something, or it could be over in a hurry.
Yep.
Let's see what happens. Good rolls from Cecil.
Oh, good.
There
good,
you go.
He's safe. Oh, that was scary.
That was 2 900 rolls on Cecil. That was really
lucky. Yeah, and Vonnie demonstrated how it should happen, where you get Kane up into the air right away. And so when Golbez starts killing off your party, Kane's not even there to die. So just after the Mist Dragon blows away the Shadow Dragon, he lands, you hit Golbez with Cecil, and everything is great. So Vani has just officially taken the lead. Now, guys, what you're going to see next is really cool, but the important thing I want to note is do not forget to cast Warp if you're in this spot. One of the glitches, which this is one of the few I knew as a child playing this game, and that's if you use Warp right away on this square, then you actually go back, and you're gonna see here, into the crystal room you were previously in. So you can go and take a crystal, and that has really great effects that we're gonna see. And
by the way, everything is fine. Nothing is broken. This game
no, nothing's
is
broken.
Completely normal.
This is totally
Nothing
normal.
strange is happening. This is
Nope.
the way the game was programmed.
Mm-hmm. We definitely see this every time we play the game. So what you see here on Vani's screen is what happens when you and Sonny's screen when you totally break the buffer with all of those floors.
Oops. Vani accidentally warped to.
He warped right to Zeromus.
Oh my god. Uh-oh.
Is he in the wall or something? Where is he?
He is in the Zeromus place now. I think he's gonna try to exit, but he can do that.
Oh no! This is so bad, I can't even.
Well, there's the reset.
So yeah.
So Vani was in the lead, but now he's not.
No, he's not. So what happened, that is one version of bacon, except not one of the soft lock bacons. What happened there is those items were put in a very specific spot in order to trigger your item warp. And it's where you go in the glitch. Sonny went to where he was supposed to, which was the sealed cave. Where, Kane betrays you. Edge is there for some reason. It's magical. Vani had his items in the wrong spot, so he went right to the last place. And you'd think, oh, cool, no problem, right? Wrong, because we need Fusoya in order to do the rest of the glitch to be capable of defeating Zeromus at this level. Had Vani walked up to Zeromus, and he could have, he would have just died. There was no way he could have won the fight.
Natara,
So-
can I get a clarification request?
Oh, absolutely can.
Who or what is Edge?
I don't know who this Edge is. As far as I'm concerned, Yang got a sudden hobby in cosplaying as a ninja.
Okay. I
I
don't know
spoke
why
out of
that
turn, I'm
happens.
sorry.
I don't know why that happens, but I don't
No.
know what Edge is.
Yeah. Get this random, dude.
Vani should have
should
at least
not have-
tried.
Yeah, no.
Uh,
It's an even bigger waste of time to try versus what's happening here, which is where he's just redoing leg day. So that is unfortunate, but again, it does not mean he's out of the game. Any amount of things can happen in the glitch here. So it is Couch's turn to go to the sealed cave, and because they have the crystal, the trigger for this cutscene is right in front of the door, and it checks even when you first enter the cave. So as long as you've got that crystal, Kane betrays you and takes it. So you're done. Then you rearrange your items, or at least that's what you do in 12 item, and you go to Fusoya, you recruit him, and you continue on and do some cool things with Fusoya's magic. You rearrange it because, you know what, at this point in the game, you got time enough to afford to be picky with how your spells are arranged.
yeah, there's definitely no hidden agenda to that at all.
No hidden agenda whatsoever.
It's all just about, how our runners are very, very driven by aesthetics, and they just want their menu in a particular way. That's how it goes.
So yeah, you get to see a lot of this. This is actually the blacksmith who you bring the adamant who makes you Excalibur. This is his home. So Sonny and most likely Penguinator, I'm not sure if he's doing something weird, are both in a really cool room that a Couch and Bonnie do not see. It's referred to as the Chocobo room because of the Chocobo music.
So Sonny is actually waiting right now because he has
Yeah.
a in-game hammer 142. He wants to see 143 so that he knows that he's actually safe to do this.
Yeah, exactly. So this is where the in-game timer is important. If you go, there's a few different rooms in this glitch where they check different things, and one of them is the in-game timer. And if you go when the in-game timer is not safe, the game soft locks or it hard locks in some cases, and the sound you hear is like a sizzle noise. and you just have a black screen. So that's one of the reasons we call it bacon. The other reason is because the graphical chart, which was created in order to show when the good times are for the in-game timer, looks just like a slice of bacon. So between those two, the soft lock in the game got referred to as bacon. Unless there's another reason, which you know of, Rivers, but those are the ones I'm aware of.
No, you explain it pretty well.
Yeah, so that's why we do not want bacon. It is bad. Now, Sonny is just about done, but he's gonna rearrange his spells a little bit more because don't mind this new Upco spell. It means nothing. It's just cool.
It's just some random spell. I mean, you know, Fusoya has everyone in the game. I'm sure it's not that important.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So, and now he is to where we already saw Vani go, except he's ready to go. So we like to play a really cool game, which is, you see, we've got a cool new character who usually would not be in this cutscene, Mr. Sid. So he is in the next cutscene going to try and cast Meteor, but he's got a really low magic stat, so he rolls really quite low. So we try and guess a value anywhere between 1600 to 2100 to see what the roll Sid is going to roll his Meteor on. So please put your guesses in chat, and the winner gets the satisfaction of knowing they won. And his Price is Right rules, if you're too high, that's it.
They get the fame and respect that everybody deserves when they guess the media game correctly.
Or if you play with certain people, you get called a cheater for being right on the money.
Hey, I don't know what you're talking about.
It's a very competitive game, this one.
Tile room indeed.
Yeah, definitely tile room.
Tile room is what Bonnie's run. What happened to Bonnie's run?
No, it's gonna be right on the top of the post. But better have boots.
Better have boots.
Better have boots. There's no Z3 rando runners here, promise. So look, Zemus is dead. Yay, game over. So again, we have the reason they rearrange the spells when you get Fusuya, is because by having the spells in that order and continuing through the glitch, once you go down the stairs in that dwarf castle, it corrupts the values of those spells and changes them a little, but I'm not going to spoil how it changes it, so
I don't know, Chuck, but I've never seen this run before, Natara. This is
well, then it's going to be a surprise for you, too. Okay, let's see what we got. I will, hold a sec. I'm gonna... put the cutoff in the chat.
Alright, 1746.
1746 is our winner. So, that's not me. I was over. Hi, Spirits. You're wrong anyways, so... we'll let it through because you were over anyways, but... but you were Price is Right rules.
I'm really surprised it was that low of a roll considering Sid was over-leveled.
Yeah, it really is. Let's see, 1746. I'm trying to find who's the closest. Arbel Knox is pretty close. See, most people don't guess that low.
Alright, we've got Penguin coming up on this fight too.
Yep. Let's see what he got. So your guesses are still valid. See what they got. Yeah. And Vani is he's through. He's about to head into the glitch, so he'll be fine this time. I have no doubt about that. Yeah.
Yes, the Teneritos earns all of our love and respect.
Yep. Wow, he really was over leveled. I was gonna say Penguinator's Sid only has 860.
Yeah, I know. That's why I was shocked by that roll.
Yeah. But yeah, you can kind of see where this run can go very wrong very quickly. There's a lot of different things you can do in the organization of your items. Some of the values they check in the glitch: in-game timer, your money, good chocobo, whether you parked your different transportation vehicles in the right spots. Yeah, it's really quite particular like that. So.
So let's talk. Let's hold up. Let's talk a little bit about this fight strategy because
Yep.
you get Fusoya back on this, and so now he's got Medio,
Yep.
but the rest of the party is very underleveled. So there's some very particular things you have to do to survive this fight.
Absolutely. One big bang will take out most of the party, if not all of it.
Zeramus is really brutal. I mean, he's so fast, and your party right now is incredibly slow. So,
Well, why do you think they're running right now?
because it's still leg day. That's why.
Leg day.
So everybody's running here really fast, and the plan of action has to be incredibly precise. So I'm really excited to see what he does here.
Yep, it's going to be a really cool strategy. The reason they're running here, though, is it was found out this year that for some reason, running while messages are up causes the messages to disappear frames earlier. And in a long cutscene such as this one, it saves, I think it's 12 seconds in this fight.
Yep.
So that's quite a lot of time just by running. So it is an important part of the strategy for this run.
All right, let's see what Sonny does here. He's probably gonna have Fusoya come up first, and he's probably gonna prepare a Medio. What are you doing, Sonny? No,
what is that spell?
No.
That is a glitch. Stop it!
Don't cast that spell.
Oh my god.
What's happening?
So let's see what the other ones do. What? Zeromus is dead?
Time.
So that's time for Sonny. So what that was is the spell was glitched in such a way that it actually uses some of the enemy abilities. So that was the reaction command, which I believe comes from some of the bombs. So Fusoya sacrificed his life to kill Zeromus. And for some reason, which is nobody's supposed to have that spell, none of the bosses have any sort of protection against being murdered by killing yourself.
Yeah, the developers didn't think to create enemy skills that had boss invulnerability, because obviously you're never supposed to have that in the party.
Exactly.
And, because this one spell actually targets the entire enemy party rather than just one enemy. It gets by all of Zeramus's kind of invincibility, for lack of a better word, to all spells at this point.
Exactly. And the name of Uptco just comes from, I think, the end of one spell and the beginning of another, just the way the values corrupt. So it's just the combination of some different names. Yeah, luckily, it's pronounceable, kind of.
I think it's like disrupt and reaction together.
Yeah.
It's just kind of a mashy combination of the two of them.
Yeah. Something that is really cool about this fight, though, so how you're supposed to do it, casually, is you use the crystal, trigger Zeromus into his other form, and then you kill him that way. You can still use the crystal on him, and it will still work, which Couch is doing, apparently. Because he's the hero we all need.
Sure, why not?
Oh, it's beautiful. It does take longer to do this, but it's awesome. Grrg. I gotta switch to Couch's music so I can hear the fantabulous. Oh, I don't have his music. I'm sad. So yeah, Rip Natara. It's okay. So there he goes, dead. So Couch is next done with looks like 205.
06.
Yeah, the timer is way behind. Oh, never mind, I'm looking at the wrong thing. They're arranged differently. So yeah, 205.06 I think was right. So and there goes Penguinator. His timer says 205.24.
And now Bonnie for the finish.
Just made it, so he will clue it up. So considering all that's happened throughout all of these runners runs, it's still an incredibly close race. So that was a really good job by everyone.
Yeah,
Bonnie's getting guesses in. Listen, Bonnie. So last guessing game, guys. Let's see if we can do it. We weren't paying attention for the last two runners because they were, finishing the game. But let's see what times we can get it, or what values we can get in here for our Medio. Yeah, of course we gotta have the boss music.
Obvi.
Do the Medio. Swing your hips from side to side. Come on, it's time to do the Medio.
Where did that come from?
It's that time of night.
But yeah, if Vonnie had actually not walked into Xerxes right away, he probably would have finished first.
Yeah,
Kind of the
without
harsh
fail.
reality of this run is that if you mess something up, you mess something up and lose 6 minutes instead of losing like 20 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. There are major consequences for tiny mistakes in this run, which is why even though it's one of the shorter runs, it's not necessarily one of the preferred runs. Sometimes it's less strategy and more just please don't mess up. Please don't put that one item in that one wrong spot. There's no ship. Don't worry about it.
There's a ship? What? Ooh.
Yeah, I know, right? Okay, we're
So
almost there.
Sonny being a gentleman and playing us the ending. That's the
He's
point.
very nice like that. I'm not quite sure what Couch is doing. He just went and caught a chocobo.
Looks like some very important things.
He's going into the town.
Alright, so we've got the mediocre
Okay,
Golbez
let's
here.
see what we got.
And here comes Sid. (2018).
Ooh, nice. 2018, next year. Gonna be a good year, folks. Okay. Wow, that means there's a lot of people who could have potentially won.
I think I see 1999.
Jazer is the one I'm seeing that's closest at 1920.
1999 was by Trinary
Oh,
Zero.
we've got Empty Eye. Oh, yeah, we've got the Big Arabe is 1996. Oh, 1999, yeah, from Trinary. Yeah, I think that's our winner. Trinary Zero, you won the second guessing game. Good job.
He wins our respect and admiration.
Oh, Couch is doing the glitch. He did the wasn't it the misclip kind of thing he did? And yeah, it just looks really cool.
Couch is here to put on a show for the people. Really.
Yep. He's here for you.
Let's Natara, let's explain what's happening in this thing.
Yeah, please.
Some weird stuff. Okay, moving on.
Yeah, okay, moving on. Yeah, no, this game is, like many of these games, really, really well programmed. So there's some really neat things you can do. One of the skips that we did not see that you can do is called the Damsian clip. So you can do similar to how you did the Mist clip, and you can skip the cutscene going into Damsian where it gets bombed. And you can do some pretty neat things with that as well. Change the color, I think, of your airship or something.
Sure, that sounds right. Let's go with that.
Yeah, I haven't actually done it myself, but it looks cool.
Actually, if you do that glitch, I think, and you fight Ruby Camp, the game is a soft locking. So.
Yeah, there's so many ways to soft lock in this game. It's amazing.
It was very well programmed for 1991.
Oh, absolutely, and I adore this game, but there's definitely some magical parts of it that we have very happily take advantage of, and that have been very sadly programmed out of future releases. So let's. I just want to note that most of these glitches, or some of these glitches, only work in version 1.0 of this game. If you have version 1.1, the Mimic glitch, most specifically, the Carrot and Trash Can against Mylon and Mylon Z, have been programmed out. So, and of course, most other releases of this game fixed all of these glitches. So there's a lot more glitchless categories when you're not running the Super Nintendo versions.
Yeah, if you enjoyed this run, it will be a GDQ this year.
Yes, it will.
Some idiot will be playing it. I don't know who it is, but we'll find out sooner or later.
Someone who's pretty darn cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, my co-commentator here will be running it at GDQ. So definitely check that out. It is, as you've seen here, a very exciting run.
The real question is, why wouldn't that airship following him backwards, truthfully?
Exactly.
But GG to Vonnie, he finishes even though
That's right, he
made
did.
that mistake.
Yep, but he took the time and he went back and he did it. And considering that was a lot of backtracking, that was really great on him. There's plenty of people who would just forfeit at that point. So good job to Vonnie, who may or may not realize he was in the lead when that happened.
Was he in the lead, Natara? Did he blow the lead? Is that
Did he blow the lead? No, but really, these are all fantastic runners who all did a really great job. And I think, unless there's anything you have to say, we are done here.
Well, I would just say make sure you give all these runners a follow for the show they put on
Yes,
today.
definitely. So what we can do here, runners, and if you liked our commentary, please feel free to give us a follow as well. We do run this game or different versions of Final Fantasy in our community every second week, bi-weekly, and it's pretty fun. Otherwise, I think we'll toss it back over to High Spirits to continue this wonderful marathon. Thanks so much for having us.
Deuces.
Thank you very much to Natara and Rivers Cown for commentating that Final Fantasy IV match. Bacon. Bacon. That's all I can say.